Oh, hi, Bob.
Hi. Bannon looks like Wayne Knight from Jurassic Park when Wayne Knight in Jurassic Park has that green spooge all over his face. And he's screaming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry, and that is
sure.
not the same person as the guy that says clever girl that gets eaten by the velociraptor. I know it's a different person. Don't start Twitter. Okay, hi, Bob.
No. Hi, yeah. Wayne Knight gets attacked by that one dinosaur that spits the acid at him. Yeah,
yes.
And then it's acid. It's like acidic goo. And that's exactly what has happened to Steve Bannon. At some point, he was in Costa Rica. There was a little tiny dinosaur that spit green goo at his face. And now we have the Steve Bannon we know and love, right? That beautiful, beautiful face that wasn't at all hit by an acid-spitting dinosaur at some point.
Oh, Bob. Anyway, well, you also struck as I was by the solemnity and also alacrity and also gravitas of this January 6th committee. Yes,
I know. See, the Stephanie Miller Show, you can get all the laughs, all the politics, and all the SAT words.
The vocab words, yes.
Thank you, kids. Yeah. Uh-huh. But, you made some good points on Twitter because we all get impatient with whatever it is. But you just said one more myth to erase from your to-do list. Congress doesn't summarily toss non-compliant witnesses in jail for contempt anymore. It hasn't happened since Teapot Dome, and it's unlikely to return within the next week for Bannon and others. If you're unhappy with the House's rules for referring criminal contempt charges, blaming the Democrats for it is misleading and unreasonable. This is a process used by both parties for decades now. It's not exclusively a Democratic thing. And by the way, House Dems have referred criminal contempt charges to DOJ twice as many times as Republicans over at least the past 20 years. Be angry, be urgent, but be reasonable about who your enemy is, and it's not the House Democrats. Thank you, Bob Cesca, for your moral clarity
and alacrity.
And your alacrity in pointing that out on Twitter. But I get it. That's what I was saying. Oh, I think it was our Michael from Oakland, who I know I get annoyed with him sometimes. He's a good pro bono lawyer, but it's just the rush to go Democrats are pussies, right? That's what, I think you were talking about Rick Wilson talking about that. It's just like, they don't, it's just, I understand we keep saying, I wish they could fight more like our velociraptor Republican Liz Cheney, but you're right. There are a certain set of rules, and Democrats are still the good guys. Democrats are still the ones on the side of truth, justice, and the American way, right?
Yeah, I mean, the real reason...
I said that because you're wearing your Superman T-shirt.
I know. Dun, 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 dun.
Although they're changing the truth, justice, and American way part. Though.
Oh, well,
yeah.
All right.
Oh, yes, I know. You got to keep up with the latest right-wing red hat outrage.
Yeah, Fox News
is now they're all
super upset about it.
Fired up by Superman again.
Oh,
it's like two Superman things in a row hitting into the outrage machine on
Plus you said,
Fox
oh
News
no,
now.
a gay Joker and a black Catwoman. Ben Shapiro's going to be so pissed.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Bob. Your point.
Going back to the system, the Democrats and how to handle this process of holding these people to account for the insurrection. The problem is the system. The system is not equipped to deal with the rise of these fascist idiocrats who have no relationship whatsoever to conveying the truth. It's like this entire disinformation machine that starts there. It starts with Roger Ailes and then expands into Donald Trump, expands into Steve Bannon and his philosophy of managing the decline of the United States. All these people believe the United States is rapidly failing, and they want to be in that last musical chairs seat before it actually does. That's the entire goal. That's what Steve Bannon advises Donald Trump about. You're the guy to manage the decline. In fact, when Steve Bannon first met with Donald Trump to try to convince him to run for president, that was the talking point. Yeah, Donald Trump, you can manage the decline of the United States.
Yeah.
Hooray. And then you'll be the last one standing when the form of government that we have falls apart. And then you can be the monarch. You can be the dictator. You can run the show however you want to run the show.
Well, that's what I was saying.
You can basically take over the United States.
That's what I was saying about it's not just this contempt of Congress. It's about blowing up the whole system. About, they don't play by any rules. You talked a lot, Bob, about Trump-proofing the presidency. Well, this is exactly what we're running up to against. Even past his presidency is they don't play by any rules. We've never encountered anything like it in our body politic. They are lawless.
Right.
They are shameless. They are completely corrupt. And, you know, the way these things have always been resolved in the past is because you had people with some sense of law and order and just, you know, our democracy, but they have none.
Oh, yeah. There was a water's edge with Richard Nixon, as
Right.
awful as he was.
Right.
There was a limit to how far he would go. I don't think this current crop of red hats guided by Donald Trump, I don't think they have any sense of what the limit is. I think what they want to do is basically, it sounds really, really sinister, like they're twirling their mustaches, but it's true. They want world domination. This is Vladimir Putin's plan. I mean, Vladimir Putin wants to have, as we've learned over the years through great pain and suffering, is that Vladimir Putin wants to install autocracies around the world. So this way, everything is tenderized for him to continue to influence, voters and to scramble the playing board.
Right.
And this gives Vladimir Putin, who's got a very weak hand as far as economy and so on, his influence around the world, this gives him a greater foothold. And so by Donald Trump rising to power here and still having an influence over half of our politics, Vladimir Putin still has that foothold in the United States. And that makes us vulnerable. Yeah.
I have more confidence after yesterday, do you, that we're going to see some measure of justice as it regards January 6th?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, it's going to take a little bit longer than we had hoped, obviously.
Yeah.
I wish it would move faster. But again, we're butted up against a system that wasn't designed to deal with these kinds of people. We've never had an insurrection at the United States Capitol guided by our own people.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about the War of 1812. Those were British soldiers that occupied the Capitol back then.
Yeah.
This was American citizens on January 6th who invaded and occupied the Capitol on orders of the commander-in-chief, on orders of the president of the United States. We've never confronted a situation like this. So consequently, our system isn't equipped to know exactly how to yank back on the reins and hold these people accountable.
Yeah.
We're not set up for that. And that's one of the things we need to work on. Obviously, we've heard from Adam Schiff, who is dealing with legislation that would reform the presidency. Very well needed, obviously, with basically a package of Trump reforms exposed by Donald Trump. And so that's going to be a positive move, but we can't change the system between now and, next week. It's just not going to happen to accommodate Steve Bannon. And we just have to be careful that we're not embracing the same kind of authoritarianism that we're trying to defeat. That's one of my main concerns. In the process of trying to tamp this down, we start to say, oh, well, maybe we should just summarily start to jail our political enemies. And that gets into dangerous territory.
So let's talk about the other, beating up on Democrats thing. You tweeted about Manchin, Manchin has told the White House the child tax credit must include a firm work requirement. And you just said, hey, Senator Manchin, are you also lobbying for work requirements linked to tax cuts for wealthy people who don't work, trust fund kids, et cetera? I bet you're not. Yeah. I mean... Here's these tweets sum this up, which you and I have talked about. But Josh, somebody tweeted, it's also hard to believe that FDR or LBJ would remain stymied as long as Biden has by a faction of their own party holding legislative hostage one of the two signature spending packages that actually had a chance of being enacted as written. And our friend Ian Millhiser tweeted, Democrats had a 58-36 majority in the Senate when FDR took office. When LBJ signed the law creating Medicare, Democrats had a 68-32 majority.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, realities, right? I mean, it's that. I was asking Travis yesterday the numbers. I didn't even know they were that overwhelming. But I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right.
And we got to 60 barely for like 5 minutes in 2009.
Right.
Which facilitated the Affordable Care Act, that level of majority at that point in time.
Right.
But still, there were a couple of Democrats who were the flies in the ointment, sort of what we're seeing now. Whenever you get up to that kind of threshold, right now we're at 50-50, which gives Joe Manchin power.
Why is it always someone named Joe? It was Joe Lieberman, douche.
No, Joe Lieberman, right?
Watered down the Affordable Care Act. And now
Joe Lieberman, douche.
Now Joe Manchin. Can't we just outlaw Joes in our party?
Max Baucus in 2009 was kind of like our Kirsten Sinema. And
yes.
Believe it or not, they had the same wardrobe. I don't know if you remember that about Max Baucus.